How do we prepare forests for the climate of the future? At the Nisqually Community Forest, Northwest Natural Resource Group and other Nisqually watershed partners are demonstrating techniques that can help forests better endure the kinds of climatic changes that we expect in the Pacific Northwest. This Pacific Northwest forest was once managed as an industrial tree plantation. Many of the trees are around the same age, the same species. The leafy canopy is so thick, very little sunlight makes it to the ground. Understory plants are in short supply. One of the greatest climatic challenges facing forests like this one west of the Cascades is increasingly hot and increasingly dry summers. Snowpack is declining at lower elevations and melting earlier in the spring, which means less snowmelt feeding streams through the hot, dry summers, one of the important ecosystem services this forest provides. These trees are going to be, and may already be, very stressed, and stressed trees are at risk of other change agents like pests and disease. This project is demonstrating practical forestry methods that will help the forest better adapt to the changes ahead. Our project is broken into 3 parts: a pre-commercial thinning, a commercial thinning with snow gaps, and an adaptive planting trial.
Pre-commercial thinning usually refers to thinning in a young or small diameter overstock stand to reduce the density of that stand and allow the remaining trees to grow faster and better. In this particular study, we're taking this 60-acre unit and thinning it to 3 different densities. A standard density of 350 to 450 trees per acre, a moderate density of about 250 to 350 trees per acre, and a lower density of about 150 to 250 trees per acre.
The thinning will spread available soil moisture and nutrients among fewer trees, increasing the likelihood that each will have enough water to thrive through the warmer and drier summers ahead. We also conducted a thinning of commercially aged timber and did 2 things within the stand. First, we thinned the stand to 3 different densities, removing the least dominant trees. Again, we'll be comparing the long-term growth and survival of the trees within the differently thinned areas. Second, we cut half-acre to 1-acre snow gaps in the canopy.
These gaps will allow snow to accumulate at a higher volume during the winter, and these gaps will also retain snow later into the spring, improving downstream watershed hydrology.
We wanted to understand how snow accumulation and snowmelt differs between the thinned areas, the unthinned areas, and the snow gaps. To measure snow accumulation, we laid out a transect that ran through a heavily thinned area, then through a snow gap, then through an unthinned stand. Technicians took manual depth measurements of the snowpack with a snow probe at 1-meter intervals along each transect.
43.
Technicians also recorded snow depth by looking at daily wildlife camera photos placed across from measurement poles in the thin stand, the unthinned stand, and the snow gap. As we expected, the results of the snow monitoring showed that significantly more snow accumulated in the gaps. There was also more snow in the thin forest than the unthinned forest. The snow in the gap and thinned area also lasted significantly longer in the spring. When the snow in the unthinned forest had fully melted, the gap still had about 1 meter and the thinning still had about 25 centimeters of snowpack. The third part of our project is an adaptive planting trial. The snow gaps are being planted with native tree seedlings. Half of the seedlings are sourced from more southerly latitudes or from lower elevations, areas with a current climate that closely resembles the expected future climate of this forest. These seedlings will mature to provide a local source of seed stock carrying genetic traits that will be better adapted to the warmer climate of the future. We will be monitoring the comparative growth and survival of the seedlings over the coming years. Northwest forests like this one are vulnerable. Without active management, they risk a breakdown of the important ecosystem services they provide: watershed protection, wildlife habitat, and carbon storage, for example. The forestry techniques we're piloting here will help the forest better adapt to the climate ahead and ensure it continues to provide those ecosystem services long into the future.